views and opinions of the station.
Oh, you didn't even tell us, Robert.
Wait. Rob.
We just learn something new every day, don't we?
Where you going, man?
I'm proud of you, Rob.
Oh, I didn't know he had told nobody.
Or you gonna break that on the show? How you gonna tell Weezy and not tell me, man? I'm your co-host.
I didn't know he had told.
I didn't even know, man. I didn't know we.
My feelings are hurt. Your mic may not come on today. Golly.
I didn't even know, man. Y'all telling me something I didn't know.
All right, welcome to the show, Black Focus Radio, the Tuesday edition. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. Speeding quickly to the end of the week so I can get to my fishing trip. Looking forward to it. Got to catch me some crappie. Gonna fish for a little catfish, a little crappie. Might be able to get a few brim. It's still, they go down a little deeper, but we'll see. But anyway, I hope y'all had a great Monday. Enjoyed the show yesterday. Appreciate everybody joining us. Make sure you are downloading that Joynet Radio app. Go out to joynetradio.com or go to your prospective app store and type in joynetradio.com and look for the purple and white joy, and we'll bring you a lot of joy as well. Also, want to remind people that we do now upload all our shows to the podcast. Just simply whatever your podcast platform that you use, including all the big ones, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcast. We are there. It's simple to find. Black Focus Radio is what you search, and it'll pop up. Okay? So that way you can, if you miss the show, you miss part of the show, please go out and download that podcast. And send a link to your friends. Hey, man, check out these guys, man. And little bit of Arkansas talking that noise. Talking like they know what they talking about. At least one of us do.
Well, thank you, Dave.
You're so welcome. So make sure you go check that out as well. So we're setting up all kinds of ways that you can listen to the show because, we get a lot of people who listen between 12 and 2. But we also realize that there are a lot of people that can't listen during that time period. And so this offers up the opportunity for them to catch part of the show, okay?
On Spotify.
All right, so we've got a couple of guests in studio. Cliff is in with us today. Say hello, Cliff.
Woo! It's great to be back in civilization. Great city of Little Rock.
I just said say hello, Cliff. Okay.
Now you're gonna regulate what the man can say.
I just
What
need.
is this, Hong Kong?
I just need people to follow.
What can we say, Master?
I just need
I
people
want
to follow
democracy.
directions.
What can we say, Master?
I just need people to follow directions. That's all.
What can
I want
we say,
democracy.
Master?
And that other voice you heard that's speaking before I even introduced him is Robert Webb. Say hello, Robert.
Hello, Robert.
Everybody
Robert
wants
the
to be a
Advocate.
comedian.
I knew what he said. He get attitude. You can't satisfy the brother.
Everybody wants to be a comedian.
can't
Everybody
satisfy
wants
the
to be a
brother,
comedian. I'm just saying. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, of course, and we're going to be doing Black Facts in a moment. But it ought to be a fun show, so go ahead and tell your friends, log on, whatever you need to do as well. And so let's do this. Let's go ahead and, why don't we just go ahead and jump into Black Facts?
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
So in light of what PLOTUS said yesterday, I thought I'd read this Black Fact today. It's entitled, "A Mob Lynching of 4 Young Blacks in 1946 is the focus of a court battle over grand jury secrecy. The young black sharecroppers were driven along a rural road when they were stopped by a white mob beside the Appalachian River, just over 50 miles east of Atlanta. A historian's quest for the truth about a gruesome mob lynching of 2 black couples is prompting a U.S. appeals court to consider whether federal judges can order grand jury records unsealed in decades-old cases with historical significance. The young black sharecroppers were being driven along a rural road in the summer of 1946 when they were stopped by a white mob beside the Appalachian River, just 50 miles east of Atlanta. The mob dragged them out, led them down to the riverbank, and shot them multiple times. For months, the FBI investigated, and more than 100 people reportedly testified before a grand jury, but no one was ever indicted in the deaths of Roger and Dorothy Malcolm and George and May Murray Dorsey at Moore's Ford Bridge in Walton County. Historian Anthony Pitch wrote a book about the killings, The Last Lynching, How a Gruesome Mass Murder Rocked a Small Georgia Town, and continued his research after its 2016 publication. He learned transcripts from the grand jury proceedings, thought to have been destroyed, were stored by the National Archives. Heating's Pitch's request, a federal judge in 2017 ordered the records unsealed, but the U.S. Department of Justice appealed, arguing grand jury proceedings are secret and should remain sealed. A three-panel judge of the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in February ruled 2-1 to uphold the lower court's order, but the full court voted to rehear the case and is set to hear oral arguments Tuesday. Pitch, 80, died just 2 weeks after the announcement of the case to be reheard. His wife, Marion Pitch, has taken her husband's place in the case. Pitch's family also approached Laura Wexler, who wrote another book about the lynching. For help completing his work, she joined the case. In 1946, Roger Malcolm, 24, was jailed after stabbing and gravely injuring a white man during an argument. A white farmer, Lord Harrison, paid $600 to bail Malcolm out on July 25th of that year. Harrison later said he was ambushed by a mob as he drove the four home. Harrison, who was identified in the FBI report as a former Ku Klux Klansman and well-known bootlegger, wasn't hurt. He told authorities he didn't recognize anybody in the mob. I'm trying to keep a straight face with that comment, but
I noticed.
Oh, okay. The investigation had been reopened and closed several times since a grand jury failed to indict anyone in December 1946. Students, researchers, and activists have all tried to crack the case. Rules governing grand jury secrecy, including exceptions when records may be released. In 1984, the 11th Circuit, which set binding precedent, said judges may order their disclosure in exceptional circumstances. The historical significance in this case qualifies, Judge Charles Wilson wrote in the panel's major decision. He added that enough time has passed that witnesses, suspects, and their immediate family members likely aren't alive to be intimidated, persecuted, or arrested. So in other words, they done killed four black people, but since so much time has passed, they can't be arrested or intimidated anymore, so it ain't no big deal. I'm sorry, I digress. I added that part. Concurring, Judge Alberito Jordan agreed that the lower court's ruling should be upheld because of the binding precedent. But Jordan said he would have decided the 1984 case differently, allowing judges to use inherent authority to go beyond the defined exceptions of grand jury secrecy seems to be open-ended, he wrote. The U.S. District Judge James Graham of Ohio, also serving on the panel, dissented. He argued that judges should not be so bold as to grant themselves the authority to decide that the historical significance exception should exist and what the criteria should be. He also worried people alive today could see their reputations harmed if the records reveal their relative was a suspect, a witness who equivocated or was uncooperative, a member of the grand jury which refused to indict, or a person whose name was identified as a Klan member. Y'all get that, right?
We the Klan.
Because they're in the Klan too.
Y'all get that, right? The full-page appeals court is scheduled to, let's see, the full 12 judge appeals court is scheduled to hear Tuesday's argument. Specifically, the judges asked the lawyers whether they should overturn the 1984 precedent. Additionally, they asked if federal judges can grant disclosures beyond the defined exceptions is historical significance and adequate reason. Pitch's lawyer Joseph Bell argued in court filings that the 1984 precedent shouldn't be overruled because it acknowledges the need for exceptional circumstances. The historical importance and age of the case, lack of indictment over the past 75 years, and the fact that other historical significant grand jury records have been released all support the release of the records. Justice Department lawyer Bradley Hinchinwood countered that Pitch's argument would allow federal judges to circumvent rules set by Congress and the Supreme Court about disclosure of grand jury materials. The rules governing grand jury secrecy provide a meticulous crafted list of permissible disclosures. Even if judges did have the authority to establish other exceptions, it wouldn't extend the historical interest. The Reporters Committee and the Freedom of the Press and 30 news organizations, including the Associated Press, submitted a brief in support of Pitch that was rejected by the court without explanation. And that's our Black Fact for today.
To Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people. On TuneInRadio.com.
And if you would like to join us or sponsor Black Facts, do me a favor, give me a call at 615-554-0568. Christmas season is right around the corner, so we'll be also updating our, sending out some packages for advertising and so on and so forth. So here's a good time to get involved with that. So give me a call as soon as you can. Now, just quickly on that piece I just read, and I thought it was important, because here's why it's important. That if that precedent is not upheld, all of the unsolved lynchings that took place in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, just like this, those will go by the wayside. Now, many of those white racists have been able to skirt justice. Okay? They've never come up for any type of hearing. They've lied. Now, the guy who ironically bailed those people out, for $600, he claims that he was attacked on the side of the road. Really? You expect us to believe that?
That's why he bailed him out. He was attacked.
Exactly.
So he bailed him out because he was attacked.
Yeah. So the point being is this.
He bailed him out because he was attacked on the side of the road.
No, he said that he bailed him out, and while they were driving down the road, he was attacked. Because they were in the car with him. Okay? So the fact that happened, the fact that still today no one went to jail, and you all are more concerned about it might ruin the reputation of someone who may be a KKK member, that's the problem in America. That's the problem in America. So what you're saying is that those judges are KKK sympathizers. You would think that those judges would say, it doesn't matter. History is history. We need to know the truth about history. And if your daddy and your great-grandpappy was a KKK member, well, that's too bad. We might need to look at your ass. You might be a KKK member.
Well, it's handed down, so it will only make sense that if your last 5 generations were Klan members, then you probably have some ideology rolling around in your head, too.
See, Donald Trump, I digress. You seem like you wanted to say something, Robert. You disagree with that?
I don't have anything to say.
You better not. I'll turn your mic off. I ain't playing today. I'm just letting y'all know.
You sound like you're in your feelings today.
I might be, but if I am, you're going to find out.
Okay, it's going to be that kind of show.
Yeah.
Well, once again, it's on.
Like a popcorn.
It's about to go down, Cliff. It's about to get ugly up in this piece right here.
So, also, those of y'all who don't believe that reparations are in order, let me give you some shut up juice. Princeton Seminary will pay $27 million in slavery reparations.
To who?
Okay? You'll find out if you let me read the article.
Then.
Gosh. Okay. Let's see. Princeton Seminary, Theological Seminary will set aside more than $25 million to pay reparations for its historical ties to slavery, thrusting the seminary to the forefront of the national debate over how Americans should reconcile with its slave-owning past. Calling the payments an act of repentance, President M. Craig Barnes said in a statement Friday, the seminary is committed to telling the truth, even though the seminary itself never owned slaves. Founded in 1812, the seminary benefited from slave economy through investments in Southern banks and other donors who profited from slavery. Its founding faculty and members and leaders used slave labor during their lifetime, and some advocated for sending free black men and women to Liberia, according to the seminary. The seminary's ties to slavery are part of our story, Barnes said. It is important to acknowledge that our founders were entangled with slavery and could not envision a fully integrated society. We do not want to be shy. We do not want to shy away from the uncomfortable part of our history and the difficult conversations that revealing the truth would produce. The seminary believes $27.6 million amount is the most any college has pledged to pay for reparations. The payments will include offering 30 new scholarships valued at the cost of tuition of about $15,000 plus for students who are descendants from slaves or from unrepresented groups. The seminary, unaffiliated with Princeton University, will also designate 5 doctoral fellowships for students who are descendants from slaves and hire a full-time director for the Center for Black Church Studies, among other initiatives.
So I don't get a check.
How did I know you were going to say that?
No, I want a check. I was waiting for you to get over the cost.
Well, can I finish the story, and then you can throw your editorial in here?
Go ahead.
Cliff, don't start. Okay, don't start.
I want the chains.
The seminary will reserve the money from its $1 billion endowment to sustain the initiatives in perpetuity to achieve generational change. We are taking tangible action to write a new chapter in our story. The decision comes amid mounting pressures on America's oldest education institutions to uncover, acknowledge, and potentially pay for their ties to slavery. Georgetown University students voted this year to raise their own tuition to pay reparations to descendants of 272 enslaved Africans who were sold by Jesuits who ran the university. The Virginia Theological Seminary last month created a $1.7 million fund for reparations. In New Jersey, both Rutgers and Princeton universities have commissioned and published reports detailing the historical ties to slavery, though they stopped short of paying reparations. So there you go. Now, Robert, this is the time you comment.
Again, I just need to know what I need to do to get my check.
Well, if you go into the seminary school, you can go for free. You make a good preacher.
I think so. I like money.
There you go.
I like money.
Yeah.
And I like women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You change your name to Robert Dollar.
Robert Dollar.
There you go.
I can do that. I'm
Robert
down
Dollar.
with it. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody.
I'm just asking, why did you say you like money, you like women? What does that have to do with going to seminary school?
Rizal can tell us. You know how preachers are. Preachers like money and women.
Let's get it long.
Money and women, that's it.
Hey.
Well, and don't answer it long. He like money and boys. But no, man, that's a noble profession. You know? You
Yeah,
gotta pimp
so
somebody.
see, there you go.
They're
So
the best kind of pimps.
It's a steady.
Pastors are the best kind of pimps.
You know.
They're the best pimps, man, because they pray and they pimp you at the same time. And they pimp men and women. They bad.
They get the rich and the poor.
Here comes Rizal. Well, I mean, if you see the
They
video,
wanted to ask you, why do you feel that pimps are also preachers? That preachers are also pimps and pimps are also preachers? Yeah, Dave said, do you feel that? Why are you looking at me like that, man?
because I'm pretty sure Rizal knows me enough
Dave
now
said-
that I don't have to use you as my
Dave
puppet to answer my
said-
questions.
Dave said what?
Do you also agree that pimps are preachers?
Pimps are preachers.
and preachers of
Is
pimps.
what Dave said.
Yeah. Do you agree?
Some preachers.
I wanna
You
make
want me to be
everybody
on the
hear it. I
record?
want to make everybody hear
Look,
it.
pimps are not preachers, and preachers are not pimps. A pimp, for the record, is someone that employs men or women to perform sexual acts
Or just an act.
on
Doesn't have to be
other,
sexual. It could be godly, right?
on other men and women for monetary gain. And preachers don't do that. Does that help you, Dave?
Sure.
That sounds kind of like a pimp.
Now, if you know a preacher that employs men and women and pays them to perform sexual acts on other men and women, then yeah, you got a pimp preacher there. But I don't know any.
So-
Someone that uses extortion.
Let's drop the
I don't
let's
know
drop
any
the
pimp
sexual
preachers.
and just talk about the act, because preachers are always telling members to go out and do things, be things.
Huh?
But more importantly, they say, "But bitch, better have my money."
No,
No.
no.
You did have that one
See-
African preacher that got
See-
his members pregnant.
He got like
Yeah.
he got like 20, 30 women pregnant.
Yeah, he was trying to repopulate the
Let me
earth.
have a
Yeah.
seat so I can enlighten y'all.
We about to get it.
I need to enlighten you.
We about to go to church.
Uh-oh.
We about to go to church.
Here's the thing. Dave.
Can I get back to my story before
When
we?
we talk about the true definition of a pimp, preachers are not pimps.
Okay, let me.
Now,
ask you
what y'all are talking about,
do women get
in my
preachers money?
opinion,
Don't women get
what
preachers
y'all are
money?
talking about, in my
Are you not
opinion,
gonna answer the question,
is
Giselle?
that you're talking about.
A man who controls prostitutes and arrange clients for them,
Thank you, Dave.
taking part of their earnings in return.
That's not what preachers do.
He's like a manager.
Not what preachers do. I'm just saying.
Rizzy can get technical. That's not what we do. We deliver souls. That's what they say. Pimps say they deliver souls.
Now, see, y'all have a tendency to talk in the group and generalize all preachers together.
Everybody but you.
But see, all
Everybody but you and
a
Jay-Z.
similar
all
word would
preachers
be a
are-
procure,
All preachers are not the same.
a go-between.
Just as if all talk show hosts were
I'm-
the same.
I'm giving
And
y'all
let me make this plain
a-
to you, so that even
a
Dave
pander.
can understand.
A Mac.
See, if you take two talk show hosts, for example, somebody that wastes time on Black Focus Radio, and then you take a talk show host, somebody that actually contributes to the community information that they can use, like the Power of Justice broadcast, and you compare those two, it's difficult to make a comparison because we're talking about apples and oranges. And in the same sense, when we talk about preachers, you can't group all preachers together because there are many great preachers that are preaching the word and that are living the life, that are not jackleg preachers, that are not running through women or men. And
Did you know those preachers? Did you know the guy in Texarkana?
And just for the record, and I actually do know. I do know some of them preachers. Now I don't know Pastor Wilson, but I do know some of the preachers that have been called.
Is
out
Pastor
down
Wilson
in
Texarkana?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, he Arkansas?
yeah.
He working it
I had a
out.
good preacher in Virginia.
Was it?
And so all I'm saying,
He was on the up and up.
all I'm saying
No,
for
no,
all
no.
my church folks that are listening, that are listening to Join That Radio, all I'm saying is that all preachers are not the same. There are some great, wonderful preachers that,
Can you name us
that,
five?
that are out here.
I can name you five.
And you're not included, Rizal. Can you name us
Some
five?
great,
You and
wonderful-
Jay-Z are not included.
There's some great,
Can you name
wonderful
us five?
preachers. And I'm not talking.
Rizzy, can you
I'm
name
not,
us
I'm not talking
five?
about Rob's Pastor Kanye. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about
Can you name us five?
some real preachers.
Can you name
So,
us five?
And the
y'all
Lord
stop,
told me to drop the beat.
y'all stop beating up on preachers is what I'm trying to say.
I
I'm trying
think-
not to get loud on y'all, but stop beating up on preachers.
I think
man.
pastors. I think honestly, I think pastors serve. I think they serve. I think they do a great service for their communities. I really do. I think they do a great service.
But
For the
No,
ones,
no, honestly,
the
I
ones
think
who
they do a
actually
great
doing
service.
it. Yeah,
I think they do a great service. I mean, because you know what? It takes a certain amount of chutzpah to go into church every Sunday and tell them, bring me my money. I mean, that's tough, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's really tough. I mean, seriously, I know y'all laughing, but I'm being serious, man. I mean, because I know you don't want to classify them as pimps. But don't women give you half their salary? Well, 10%.
No.
Y'all just ask for 10%.
that's not what happens in church.
Give them some pie and cake too.
That's not what happens in church.
Rip, come over here. I just baked a new pie.
You gotta keep the lights on, man. You gotta keep the lights on.
Reverend Richard, do you eat chitlins?
They're not my favorite, but every once in a while.
Oh my God.
I eat chitlins.
I
Not my favorite.
I'll break some chitlins off.
You know where chitlins came from?
I don't care where they came
I'll eat
from.
more than
But see, if y'all want to have a real conversation about religion, about preachers, then it's a personal thing, man, because there's a lot of bad members, and a lot of the members are worse than the preachers are. And so it's
So now you see, he doing like
so-
everybody
You see
else.
how
Not he attacking
he
the members.
blaming the
So-
The
members.
members ain't about nothing.
But let me point
He
this
blaming
out.
the members.
At First Baptist Church in Kiel, 311 Fordyce Street,
First and fourth Sunday.
first and third Sunday,
Oh, first and
Yeah,
third.
get it right.
10 a.m. We have at First Baptist the greatest church members anywhere. Period.
Hey, I'm just curious. What's the admission?
And so, I'm gonna tell you something about First Baptist.
Can I-
So,
can I get back to my show?
Wait, Dave. Let me.
Can I get back to my
Let
show?
me share something with you about First Baptist. First of all, the pastor of First Baptist Church in Kiel does not receive a salary. When he first, and I'll talk in third person, when he first started leading the church did not have very much money, and so he did not accept any money and did not ask for any money.
That's my pastor.
Now the church is very well off financially, and because of that, some of the members at First Baptist decided basically to demand that the pastor take a $125 a Sunday that's used for gas to go see the sick people and that kind of stuff. So 100. This First Baptist Church in Kiel, I'm gonna tell you about our church.
Well, I'm glad you're telling me that you're getting money now because I'm going to up your rate for your
It's
show.
$125 on first Sunday and third Sunday.
I'm gonna
There's no
uprate your
pastor's
rate.
salary. And in regards to tithes, all of our members pay what they can pay. There's no ATM in the church. There's nobody monitoring your salary or
No
your
square.
check stubs. Everyone pays them what they can pay. And for many years, the tithe is $10. $10.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear all that.
And what has happened
I'm
is
gonna kill you,
because
Mike.
we've not been, because we've
We don't
not
care.
been,
We don't care.
Because we've been
We
doing
don't
things
care.
the right way. Don't
We
get mad
don't
now.
care.
See, because we've been
We
doing
don't
things
care.
the right way.
Why'd you bring this up, Robert?
God has blessed.
Thanks.
God has
Thanks.
blessed the
I had
church.
my show formatted
God has
and ready to
blessed-
go.
God has
and then
blessed the
you
church
even
because-
pulled the mic down. And
Because we are not shaking
Oh,
down
Lord
the
have
members,
mercy.
because we are not all up in folks' financial business. God has blessed the church, and we're not financially well off, and we're still doing the same thing that we've always done, and we're not shaking down members. As a matter of fact, we give out to our members, any member that's in need.
How
That's
you
helping
do that?
with
God
bill
taking
money.
the tithe money.
That's helping people.
We don't care,
Here's the
Robert.
thing.
We
don't care, Robert. We don't care.
When you don't shake
We
people
don't care.
down, listen to me. When you don't shake people down in church, people are more willing to give.
You take promissory notes?
we
And so
don't
we-
care,
and so we-
Robert.
and look-
We don't care.
We've got
Come on.
We've got
Can
some
I do my show?
First Baptist Kiel, we've got some members that are now
Oh,
living in
Lord.
other states that still send donations to the church, and they're living in other states because
Your pimp game strong.
we're not demanding that
Richie, your
people
pimp game strong.
pay money.
Your pimp game strong.
I'm just saying, First Baptist Church, 311 Fordyce
we
Street,
got that.
first Sunday and third Sunday.
We got that.
311 Fordyce in Kiel.
Okay.
The second
You ain't got nowhere to go,
Okay.
come check us out.
All right.
You
Okay.
know where to go, go to Kiel.
Can we get back to the show?
All right, go ahead.
I'm just saying, a lot of preachers won't tell you what they get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, a lot of preachers, there's very few preachers that will tell you what their church gives them because they know they don't deserve it. And so a lot of them ain't gonna tell you that they making six figures at the church. They're not gonna tell you that they're getting all this extra money and stipends and gas and parsonage, a house to live in. They won't tell you all that, right?
Tax write-offs.
How many preachers will actually tell you what the church gives you?
Don't.
I don't trust the
Don't
preacher
know.
to tell me.
Because they're
Hey, stop
ashamed.
it, man. What would-
Okay.
They're ashamed.
Okay. Can we get back to my show?
They don't deserve it.
Okay. This
Rolls Royce, Porsches, Lamborghinis, Mercedes,
Brazil,
a mansion in every
I
state,
hate
a
to be
pilot
mean.
to fly
I
from
know
church
you
to
ain't
church,
about to read that.
all that stuff.
I know David Coleman. Keep
They
talking
don't
reason,
deserve it.
because I know David ain't about to read what he's about to read.
What?
I swear on cheese and Christ. I'll tag his studio up.
If your preacher is selling tickets to the sermon,
I'm a cuss if you
wrong
play.
church.
I'm a cuss. I'm serious.
if
I'm
your
serious.
preacher charging $100 to sell out an auditorium or arena for you to come hear them preach, wrong preacher, wrong church.
and
You're going
wrong
the wrong
show.
way. I'm just
Wrong
Y'all
show.
brought it up.
Wrong
I was
show.
minding my own business,
Yeah.
outside, chilling, taking care of business, and then y'all start picking on me. So what
Okay.
do? I said, well, why don't I
I
just
feel like
come
mega
here
churches
Yeah.
defeat the
and
purpose of
join the
church.
show?
That's
And I appreciate
Okay.
y'all joining us for the Power of Justice broadcast here at Joy Net Radio.
Reason.
All right, I'm
If
turning
there's
off
a
your
bunch of
mic.
preachers in hell, y'all save me a seat. I want to be down there with y'all.
You come on down to First
I
Baptist.
know y'all gonna have some days.
First Sunday and third Sunday, man.
That's what's up.
First Sunday and third Sunday.
Stop it.
Lord.
10 a.m. Sunday school, 11 a.m. morning service,
Okay.
3
See,
a.m.
I'm-
Fortnite in Keo.
Time to point practice.
I just turned this mic off. I mean, I'm trying to be nice. I'm
Okay.
trying to be nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Will you read-
He took.
Hey, don't
he
read
took
that.
15 minutes of my show talking all that yin
He was
yang.
talking about.
And that's the most important 15 minutes of your whole 2 hours. Now what?
Can,
That was the Lord's justice.
can someone send security down here? We gotta, and you know you can't get in trouble anymore. I'm gonna call Finks on you, man.
He already been arrested.
He already been arrested once. You're already on probation now. I'm gonna call the police on
All
you.
we gotta do is call Fix it. Hey,
Hey.
man, Brazil down here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right?
He brings SWAT out there.
He sent SWAT down
He
here to
sent
get him.
SWAT down there.
Look like FOP and say, come get it.
Roselle Aaron is down at Jordan Radio. We need to get the SWAT team out.
Not me.
You know, so
Robin
I'm
was
just saying.
taking private meetings. with
Robert
the
be like
FOP.
your mediator. Now, if you're gonna shoot him,
Hanging out.
shoot him in the ass. Don't shoot him anywhere else.
Nah. If he gonna, ain't
Don't
nobody,
shoot him.
ain't nobody gonna shoot really.
Don't
Ain't
See,
nobody gonna
even my listener says he's still
Don't
going.
shoot him.
He's still going.
Don't
God,
shoot
he's
him.
like a damn Energizer bunny.
Well, tell you,
Man.
tell your
Like
listeners
the,
they need to tune in to your show
Yeah.
and not this show.
Well, that's right. Okay. All right.
All right, Rick,
So-
you need to stick around for what you about to do, because you can comment on this. 'cause
I'm
you ain't
listening.
saying that.
Okay,
Like the guard on
okay,
life.
okay. I've got some real news, folks.
What
That's
you
what
got?
that's what we do here.
So,
So,
I'm letting you know now.
well, I'm just saying to show you
That's all we gonna hear.
to show you how disgusting FOPs are across the country. Texas City's police union calls for the resignation of a councilman who declared a black state of emergency following the Atatiana Jefferson shooting. Okay? A McKinney, Texas councilman is facing a call for his resignation following divisive comments he made in response to the fatal shooting of Atatiana Jefferson. On Friday, Councilmember LaShondon Shimwell called for a state of black emergency in Texas after the 28-year-old Jefferson was shot by a Fort Worth police officer. The pre-med student was playing video games with a nephew. Okay, Dean said Dean has since resigned and is now charged with murder for Jefferson. Like many in the Dallas-Fort Worth community, Shimwell was outraged by the shooting, the seventh by the Fort Worth police. Wow, since June 1st. I did not know that. According to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. In his Twitter declaration, he accused the state and local demonstrating of what he called a pattern of practice of discrimination and biased conduct, which deprives black and brown citizens rights protected under the Constitution. He further pointed to the racial bias exhibited by police, noting that the officers killed Jefferson, who was black, without any provocation, justification, or warning. Shimwell also brought up the deadly shooting of Botham Jean. Now, therefore, we as citizens of Texas declare a black state of emergency, bearing especially for black and brown citizens living and traveling through Texas. Shimwell's declaration drew swift criticism from the local police union, the McKinney Police Association. The union's president, Christopher Kennedy, accused the controversial councilman of trying to drive a wedge between the city's residents and the police.
They did that on their own.
I always get fascinated when they say that. Why are you looking at me like that,
I'm glad
man?
you read that.
See, that's
That's
news.
interesting. Yeah.
Don't you say that, Robert.
How is it interesting? I want to know how y'all find it to be.
I mean, it's not a surprise, but it is interesting because typically they don't hardly come out and just publicly put it out there like that. They say it within the members of their organization. And so for one to come out and just show who he is interesting.
That's right, Rizzy. By the time you said
There's
something.
another one in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
where they're fighting the mayor over. They decided to decriminalize homelessness, and the FOP and the governor are trying to intimidate the mayor into repealing the city ordinance.
And so police unions are doing exactly what they get paid to do. And y'all know I'm a union supporter. But if I was going to oppose any union, it would be the FOP, the police union. Because,
Why would you oppose the FOP?
Because they're a bunch of charlatans.
Well, here's the reason. It's because the people that they are protecting have the ability and the power to take lives. That's why. And when unions protect bad people, police officers, people die. And that's why if I was going to oppose any union, it would be a police union.
Now, what were your comments, Robert? I mean, you seem to be a little miffed that I even brought that subject up. Here is a black man in this story who's trying to rally his people. And you don't want that out?
Somebody say he's an advocate.
I thought you were an advocate, my brother.
Yeah, but see, Rob is kind of what the old folks call sometime. See, for those of you that don't know what sometime is,
Let me see if that's in the dictionary.
Rob. Just look, that's Rob, and Rob can be sometime, and what that means is
He's a fair weather.
sometimes he with us, and sometimes he against us.
Sometime me. Is that
He's going to get fair weather.
Sometimes he against us.
I'm always down. I'm always down for the cause. My thing is, it ain't no way in the hell anybody from any union don't ever tell me what I should or should not be supportive of.
Why?
Because, first off, you're supposed to be a police union. Your job is to serve and protect.
Protect the police.
Even when you're wrong, even when police are wrong, your job is still to serve and protect.
The police.
FOP doesn't do that. Nor does the International Fraternal Order of Police or the National Fraternal Order of Police. Your job is always to serve and protect. Even when you do something wrong, even when one of your guys has committed a crime and he's done something wrong, it's still your job. You cannot tell me nothing about what right and wrong is because you're constantly supporting people who have done wrong. Now, I understand they pay their money. They're supposed to get their representation. You're supposed to protect them. But you're also supposed to protect me.
Tanya called y'all bipolar?
Yeah, but see,
Tanya called y'all bipolar. And Russ said sometime he robbed.
Man, see, now everybody will come.
say it again, man. Sometimes. Say it
Well,
again.
sometimes you're an advocate, sometimes you don't.
Let me say this so I can be clear.
No.
I gotta
No.
be clear. I'm a
socialist
capitalist.
capitalist.
I'm a capitalist. I ain't socialist.
He's a socialist.
I ain't socialist no more.
You
I'm a capitalist.
You cannot be an avocational
I'm a
capitalist.
capitalist.
There's no such
I'm
thing.
a straight
liberal
capitalist.
capitalist.
Now, I will admit.
Why are you getting
I
offended
will
by us
admit,
calling you that?
because I needed to be clear. I've come out of
y'all,
retirement for about
That's
a
what
week,
sometimes
maybe
it looks
two,
like.
but I'm going back.
The
Okay.
face of
So,
sometimes.
guys, that was mean,
That's so
Robert.
you know, I am no longer an advocate. I'll leave it at
Gosh.
that.
Did you just do a Trump?
That was
Did you just do a Trump?
no, mine. I wouldn't hide mine. Mine was straight up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought I saw a Trump when you did that. Okay.
I'm a straight
I see
capitalist.
police unions, and I agree with Rob, is that police unions police should be police first and then union members second.
I agree.
Because they're supposed to protect and serve the people, but they only typically protect and serve themselves. And that's why if I was going to oppose a union, it would be the police union, because they typically only protect and serve themselves, but even more so the white members. And they usually throw the black members under the bus. And I think that we've seen that time and time again recently, because we've had black cops. Recently, Brother Muhammad got 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
I think it was Boston or somewhere like that, for
Minnesota.
killing a white Minnesota, killing a white Australian woman. Where was the police union then? We see black officers that get fired more frequently than white officers that are not protected by the union, and so they're protecting and serving. They're just not protecting and serving us. And so I agree with Rob on that, and I like that. I like that article because, in my opinion, when they speak publicly, when they speak openly, we know who we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that support the police no matter what they do. A lot of those people don't hear these kinds of stories. They don't hear these kinds of articles, and so they don't hear from the mouths of the demons how they feel. And so it's good to hear. And I'm not talking about all police are demons. I'm talking about the bad guys. When you hear it directly from the horse's mouth, then those supporters can have a better idea about what we deal with as black folks and brown folks. Go ahead, David.
Thank you. That's why I raised my hand, so I could try to get a word in. Since we're talking about Fort Worth, I was going to read both of these stories in concert, but y'all just went off on a tangent. So can I bring us back?
Because we like the story, man.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Well, this story is similar.
Finally, some news on black folks.
Robert, since you're reading the title, is it okay for me to read that story?
I want to hear it.
Go ahead, man.
You sure?
Rizzy wants to hear it.
Okay.
That's your co-host.
Okay.
And talk loud so the power of justice listeners can hear you on Facebook.
An attorney representing the family of slain Botham Jean says now is the time to put pressure on authorities amid the pending status of federal wrongful death against the city of Dallas. So basically this article is about the city of Dallas wants to remove themselves from the wrongful death suit that Botham Jean's family has put on because they're claiming that she, Amber Geiger, the murderer, was not on duty at the time that she walked into the house.
I'm just curious. Did she have on a uniform?
Yes, she did.
Did she shoot it with a service revolver?
Yes, she did.
I holla, player.
Right. But see, that's what the police do all the time in situations like that.
Wait a minute. Let me finish the article.
Okay, they try to get this.
Gosh. Man,
And I'm going to tell you something as soon as you get done with that article.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about why it's so important
Okay.
that police have to pay
Okay.
these lawsuits out their own pocket.
I
That's
agree
a good
with you.
point. That's a good point.
She has said on that day, she thought she was walking into her own unit when she was suspected John was the intruder. Although Geiger was in her uniform and worked for the police department at the time, Ramirez, the judge who wrote in her opinion that Geiger was off duty during Jean's death. Attorney Darrell Washington, who is representing the Jean family, however, said Monday, the law maintains that the moment Geiger suspected a crime was committed, she was legally called back on duty. He's exactly right.
No, they always say that
They're always
off duty.
right. They're always
never
on
off
duty.
Right.
But she acted as a police officer
Yes,
when
sir.
she shot and killed him. Okay, it has always been our position that Geiger was on duty. Washington added, it would be totally awful in situations like this to simply release the city from liability when there's an officer that takes the life of someone. So there you go. So now.
So I mean, no, I'm concerned. I've never researched it, so I don't know for a fact. So when someone's shot by the police, is there some law protecting them from being sued personally? Because I never.
No, they're always sued.
Well,
They're always sued in their official and individual capacity. Individual means they're being sued as a private citizen. And so here's the thing about, in Arkansas anyway, is that when police officers are sued and departments are sued, they always file a motion, first of all, to dismiss everything. But what typically happens is if a police officer violated some kind of policy or did something other than what he was trained to do, he or she was trained to do, then the city can be removed from the lawsuit as a defendant. And then the only person left is that officer in their individual capacity. But here in Arkansas, what people don't know is, and what the municipal league don't want you to know is even when a city is dismissed from the case and there's only the individual left, is that the municipal league will still represent that person and will still pay out damages or settlement. A lot of people think that once the city gets dismissed from a case, that there's no more money to be
No
had.
more liability.
And it's not true. because the municipal league is still paying. Which is why, brings me to this point, Dave, every police officer in America should be paying liability insurance in the event that they injure or kill somebody in the line of duty. Because there's no consequence for police officers when they violate, wrongfully kill, or wrongfully arrest somebody. There are no real consequences. Because if a police department takes action against an officer for violating policy, then they've admitted wrongdoing. And so they will never admit that because it impacts the civil lawsuit. So even you may have the worst officer in the world, and typically that law enforcement department is going to say he's the best officer we got.
Right.
Because it impacts the lawsuit. Now, you let them police officers start having to pay out of their own pockets when they, first of all, paying their own liability insurance. So if they kill somebody or wrongfully arrest somebody, and then secondly, that a victim or a victim's family can take that popo stuff, take their stuff. So not only should you get money from the city and the department, but you ought to get money out that police officer's pocket. You need to get their house, you need to get their car,
Well, if you're suing
you
them-
need to get everything that you can get.
If you're suing them, more than likely, I don't know. That is a good point, though. But there's no law saying you can't sue a police officer individually.
No, not at all.
So
They're always
Just-
sued in their official and individual capacity.
just so I'm understanding this correctly, so what you're saying is that if the city, for some reason they drop the city out of the case, the city still pays out when the officer is
Yes.
sued.
And a lot of people don't know that. Because almost all the cases settle, right?
Right.
And so when they settle, there's a confidentiality agreement. And so now the victim's family, no other police are going to talk about the fact that the municipal league just paid $100,000 to a victim of wrongful arrest or excessive force. Nobody will know that unless there's somebody like me that happens to know the facts. And so the municipal league, their insurance is still paying when and if they lose.
Just off the top of your head, I know you don't know the exact numbers, but what would you think the amount is that we're paying out across the country yearly for police brutality?
As a matter of fact, there was an article posted about New York City alone. It was in the millions of dollars, and I mean double-figure millions. And that's, by the way, that is, you know what, Russ Ray Cobb. That's public information.
Yeah.
I know Ayanna Jones's family. I think they got 8 million.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna see if I
I think
can.
her family got 8 million. It's usually in the millions. Yeah.
Because that always.
So you could be looking at billions per year.
Yeah,
Millions.
I just never thought about that till you said that. I mean, you often wonder because I mean, in Little Rock, right? So a guy shoots and kills somebody, even though the city pays for it. I mean, we technically pay for it, right? But then the guy goes back to work, right?
Well, here's the other thing, because the FOP, they won't pay. Police unions don't pay for defense in civil cases. Not anywhere that I'm
So
aware
just
of.
quickly
And
here,
so, but
Chicago paid. This is as of March 2019, $113 million. That's just Chicago.
yeah, so millions.
Yeah.
And
probably
so
talking
and
about
so
$2-3
and so
billion a
police
year.
unions don't pay for representation. Typically, don't pay for representation in
representation.
civil cases. So what that means is that if the municipal league, watch this, if the municipal league does not represent that officer in their official and individual capacity, that officer most likely cannot afford a good attorney. Once they lose that case, everything becomes a matter of public record. And if a pattern is established, that police department has established a pattern or practice of misconduct, they are in one of the most vulnerable states, legal states, that a department can be in once a pattern is established. And so they don't want some jack-legged lawyer coming up and they're representing a police officer even in their individual capacity, because once they lose, right, then everything is out there. And every time an officer messes up in that department, then they can use that information from those other cases to establish a pattern of practice, and it makes them or places them in a worse position than they would otherwise be in. That's why the municipal league continues to represent cops even when they screw up. They're not trying to protect that cop. They're trying to protect the
process.
city. They're trying to protect the process.
New
They're
York
trying to
City,
protect the police department.
384 million.
Well, I know
New York City,
New York City.
not New York State.
New York City.
From what I read, New York, Texas, and California are the top three states for police settlements and killings.
Really? See, that's interesting. You know?
And see, that's really the argument that people need to start making, is making people aware that, look, this is
But
your.
those are our tax dollars.
Right, that's my
Those
point.
are our tax dollars.
This
The
is your
reason
tax
the case
dollars.
is settled is because they want the confidentiality agreement.
They want the,
That's why the case is settled. So you can't come back and use what happened in that case in the next case.
Right. They want to do that.
We're gonna put our guy Russ on the case. Can we find out how much money the state of Little Rock, the city of Little Rock, has put out as far as police brutality cases? I'd be curious to
I
know.
know they put out what, 900,000 for Mr. Ellison. They put out 200,000 for what's his name, Bobby Moore. I think it was 200,000.
But those are high profile cases. I'm quite sure there are other cases.
Yeah, I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying. I'm sure there's others.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the two that I know about. Those two that I know about. They were what's that 1.1 million.
Right.
Not including legal fees.
But
Right.
you let these popos,
We can't hear you talking to Mike. You do radio.
you let the Power of Justice listeners can hear me on Facebook.
All right, I'll just turn your mic
But
off.
when police officers start having to come out of their own pockets, when they're losing their house and their cars and their own personal property, then we will see police begin to improve in their relationships and reduce or lower the number of wrongful arrests and excessive force cases when they know they got to pay out of their own pocket.
Russ says he's got the information. So, Russ, whenever you can get that to us, let us know. I'd be curious. I'll be curious to know, because that's the one thing that the people need to understand is that, bro, every time they go out there and beat up somebody, and that person gets a settlement, that's your money, bro. So while you're running around here supporting these cops for participating in illegal activity, you're basically funding the mafia,
But
so to speak.
People don't care about that, though.
But
because
you know what? I
gotta
don't think people know.
Here's why. You got to pay the taxes anyway. So a lot of people don't care where it goes after it leaves their pocket, because it's going to leave their pocket anyhow. It's not the right way to think, but it's the way that a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah.
They don't care what happened to that money.
I don't think they know though,
anyway.
Rizal. I think if they knew that, hey, if for instance, if every year there was a line item that shows settlements, police settlements, and that was made public every year. Let's say, Robert, that I don't know if those things were in the same year, but that was $1.1 million. In a city like Little Rock that is suffering with schools, with basic infrastructure, $1.1 million is a lot of money.
But governments waste taxpayer dollars all the time. This ain't nothing new.
Yeah, I know.
Majority of people are not concerned with where that money's going, because they gotta spend. Now, I tell you what, if let's say we're spending $5 million a year in Little Rock to pay out these police cases, right? We're paying $5 million a year, just grabbing a number out there. And then we tell the citizens, well, we'll lower your taxes if we don't have to pay out so much money every year. Then you got people's attention. But when you say we got to pay out $5 million a year and you still got to pay the same or a little bit more than what you always pay, then you ain't got nobody's attention, because it ain't making a difference in their pockets.
Well, I just think if people knew that we're spending $5 million a year for police misconduct, and you list the various egregiouses that these police has committed, I think that would make a huge difference.
And what they gonna do? What they gonna do?
I don't know what they can do, but at least they can start being upset. They can start.
We always been mad. Dave.
Well,
That's one thing we
That-
got a monopoly
Black people
on.
have, but I'm talking about
we got a
white
monopoly
people. White
on
people are
anger.
concerned about those tax dollars,
if
and if
nothing
those
else,
white
we
folks
gonna be
really knew that, hey, I'm spending $5 million to settle cases, And it might be one of those cases that those white folks said they shouldn't have got the money. Oh, I think at the end of the day, money is money, whether it's black money or white money. And if you're telling me that you're using my money to settle cases that a police officer went out and beat up someone, or that guy who got his arm broken by the police in North Little Rock, which he shouldn't have, or the little girl who got threw off her bike. No. I think at that point, whether you're black or white, you're going to start saying, wait a minute, you costing me more money. I just think we would.
They're not costing us any more money.
But
We're going to pay the same taxes anyway.
We might,
and
but
the
still.
other thing is, you're talking about...
But that's taxes that could be going somewhere else other than police brutality lawsuits.
So what you're saying is when people know about it, all we're going to do is make mad people mad. Right? Come on, man.
For that video, so you know,
What video, Cliff?
the mom and
I mean, Robert already angry. He already angry black man. So, I mean, just making him more angry, I mean, I don't know what that does.
All right, we got to take the top of the album break. Yeah, I was trying to stall for you so you could find your little thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
You know,
that for a while.
well, you'll get that information in the break
And
when we come back. Okay?
the Atlantic just posted a story about the segregation of schools.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that as well.
So y'all want to talk about that too?
Well, we can talk. It's a talk show, Robert. That's what we do. We talk.
Stick around, stay tuned. We'll be right back. With
No,
more of the power.
that's
of
not
the
your job, Rizal. That's
know
not
what?
your job.
I'm just
Y'all are getting on my damn nerves
saying.
today. Cliff,
Cliff like it. I'm just
you know,
saying.
Cliff, don't laugh at him. Stop. Gosh.
I can't hate Brazil.
I can hate him.
Everybody love Brazil.
I can hate him.
Oh, Dave, you're wrong, man.
Man.
You're wrong, Dave.
Hey, we'll be
Man
back.
of the club.
Hey, we'll be back in a moment.
Mean, Dave. I really didn't know how mean you were, man.
I'm sorry.
You mean, man.
I'm
mean.
the producer.
I need one of those suits for Dave's freedom.
Yeah, right. I didn't know, man. If I had known.
Is somebody's
you know,
phone ringing?
Oh, man. What are you talking about?
Was that your phone, Roselle? You gonna sit over there and lie? You're worse than
My
Trump.
phone was not ringing.
What was it? It
My
stopped
phone
when
was
you
not-
touched it.
It wasn't ringing.
What was it doing? It was buzzing, right?
But
You just did a Trump on me. See how you did that? You just did a Trump.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Man, you better quit watching that, man. We gonna flip off the female astronauts. These are disgusting.
That was that was
They're
pretty
just
slick,
disgusting,
man.
man.
That was slick wrong, but that was
Man, I'm gonna tell you that. I mean, he just, Lord, I saw that.
Dude, rough, man.
I'm like, look, he's Robert's favorite. He gangster.
Yeah.
Like that. He's straight up gangster.
But that's what his people like about him, man. That's why his followers like him so much, because he's so entertaining.
But Tanya said there's too many hosts and not enough engineers.
Of what? But that's why his people like him so much.
Let's see. Russ said 900,000 to the Ellisons, 90K to the Landris estate.
The who?
The Landris Hawkins.
Oh, Landis Hawkins was the guy who was shot. Remember, Landis, he was the one that shot in the house raid.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
How much? That's it?
Yeah, he said that's it.
So how much is that? 2 million?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
No, 90,000. No,
90,900K plus what was the other one?
It can't be all of it.
It's more than that.
That's
for
what
sure.
one.
It can't be all of it.
I think that. But we what did we ask? We asked about what. Shit, I'm trying to remember.
I'm sure there's a line item every year. It has to be in. They have to list that as a loss. I would think in the
I've
budget.
never seen
No,
it
it's
because
not-
it comes
it's on
from
the
the
budget,
insurance.
no.
It's not out of the city's pocket.
No, it's not the city coffee.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be a line item.
But this is what blew my mind. So I did an FOI, man. Cause man, they be on some bullshit. So this is the thing. I said, so FOP put all this shit in their contract, right? So they get uniforms free. The city pays for the uniforms. The city pay $165,000 a year for the uniforms. Now they get longevity bonuses every year. it says the amount paid out in longevity bonuses per Article 23 of the Statement Agreement, and it's to the Little Rock's FOP for the past 5 years. For the past 5 years, they paid out $2.3 million in longevity bonuses.
I can see it for 5 years, maybe
Now check this out.
3 years.
Also, they get education money, right? So I say, give me that amount for the last 5 years.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
Yeah, for the last 5 years. I know, it's funny as fuck, ain't it? Considering what we got.
Wait,
Yeah.
so LRPD.
Education money?
And I'm saying
They get
something.
money to go to school, yeah.
I like a lot of folks. What they use the education money for, man?
Probably smoking crack. They sure
I
ain't
mean,
going to
they
school.
use it for education.
Sure ain't going to school.
That's what and I know we got some good cops. I'm not saying we don't. But I'm saying most of the ones that I've had contact with, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like the ones that see me speeding and keep on going and don't pull me over.
See, a lot of that money goes to the Criminal Justice Institute, I bet, too, where they just kind of rubber stamp. You go to class over there and they just kind of, you pass, you pass, you pass, you pass. You know? It's not a grade, it's a go or a no-go.
Right,
See
right.
my phone over there.
Yeah. I bet that's where most of the classes are.
And the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Goldman. And your
Brazil
All
there.
right, Dan, let me get this out there real quickly with your roll.
All right, welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683. Yeah, have you all noticed? It's kind of like herding cats in here today. You know what I'm saying? You got Robert, you got Rizal, you got Cliff over there. You know,
That's Black Focus for you, baby.
it's
Full effect.
it's
Hey, man,
some.
can I do this so I can finish, so I can move on, so we can move on to something else?
I will let you do it.
You just want
You know,
to keep on talking.
I'm doing like what is called a show reset.
Man, I thought
you
y'all was like
Okay.
co-hosts, man. I didn't
No,
I
we are-
wouldn't- man,
Cliff, what are you
You
doing?
ain't
Wait,
gotta- you don't
what
have to
y'all
take that from
doing?
David, man, you a co-host. You tell David what you finna do and just do me. That's how you do that.
I'm trying to put on a
I
good
tell
show
you
here
what you gonna
every
do,
day,
man.
and you yahoos coming here and screw it up.
Read your stuff, Rob.
Can I do a show reset? Can I? I'm the only radio professional in
Oh
here.
my God, he's the only radio
But
professional.
Dave,
Oh, so now you're a
It's more
professional?
like Kelly and
855
Cliff, reach over there, kill it.
525 5683 is the number.
read your article,
If you would like to call the show.
David, hush, David,
Let David do his
David, go.
Let David do his research.
David
please do
W.
your
Coleman.
research.
Okay.
David, please do your research.
Now go ahead, Rob.
See, the great thing about
You
sitting
go,
on this
man.
side
Do
of
what
the
you want.
desk.
reach down from above.
Say what you want to say.
855 525 5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Also, you can catch us on Twitter. You can also catch the...
That's dirty, dog.
Are y'all saying something? I can't hear you. Your mics must not be
There's
on.
always room for more.
I can't hear y'all. Your mics must not be on.
Hey, man, he just turned everybody like that.
That's wrong.
Now, you want to mess with me? You want to mess with me? You want to mess with me? Say hello to my little friend.
One of them nose shots.
Say,
You know how you play basketball with somebody? And they say, we ain't pick you. Oh, get my ball. I'm finna go home.
now, say hello to my little Mike. Now, all right, now that we done established the rules of engagement
You
here,
better choke me to death.
golly, that's what you get. Now reach your little funky thing.
Jesus. You do it to reset.
Oh man.
All right, so let me just say this. Rizal, you're not invited back on my show.
He's still talking.
Cliff, you're not
He
invited
said
back
you
on my
could read,
show.
but he's still
And Robert, you're going to go once a week. Okay, now
Listen, everybody.
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Go
I told
right,
you.
go right to help.
People with handicap vision.
I'm sorry, I've lost all control of the show today. I'm apologizing to y'all already. I told y'all when I showed you that Cliff was going to be on the show today, I knew it was going to be a mess. I knew it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Troublemaker.
In my defense.
all right.
In your
Robert,
defense,
will you
Cliff.
leave the computer alone and read your little funky stuff?
Sorry, Dave. I'm sorry
Gosh.
very much. I'm sorry very much, Dave. Oh, jeez.
You got how's the rest of your family?
I gotta. Really, y'all stop. Hold on. I gotta focus right now. Okay. So after reading the union's contract, man, I found some really interesting things that I thought I would share with y'all. Now we talked about in addition to all the other money we are already paying out. So check this out. So I asked them for the amount spent yearly on police uniforms, as mentioned in Article 17 of the Statement of Agreement between the City of Little Rock and FOP, right? So the city pays out every year, roughly, $165,082.71 just for uniforms. They buy all the uniforms for every officer on every level, right? They pay longevity bonuses.
You said that last time.
Yeah. But the thing is, they pay $2.3 million in the last 5 years in longevity bonuses. Yeah.
That's just for sticking around.
That's just for sticking around. If you can make it, we can pay you.
And you would tend to believe most corporate companies, and I know this is the city, that when you started being around too long, they try to find ways to get rid of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For instance, when I worked at Dell, although I worked at Dell for 15 years, Dell,
They not getting no longevity bonus.
after 5 years, they trying to get you to move on. I'm serious. They're trying to get you to move on to one of their independent companies, or they're moving you to other areas of the company as well. So it's and that's throughout corporate America. You know, because what they look at it is the longer you're there, the more it costs them. But apparently the city doesn't do it that way.
See, I look at it that way. But now this is the one I thought was really interesting. And Rizal and I both, we chuckled when I said this. So stop. So the question I asked with the FOI said,
Latanya says, how many years do they have to go before they get that bonus? What is that longevity bonus?
1 year.
What?
Yeah, if you're there 1 year, you get a longevity bonus. That's what I gotta go back.
Well,
and read
wait a
it. I think
minute.
if you're there 1 year.
So
you
if
get a
I'm there for 1 year, that's called a longevity
I
bonus?
think you get a longevity bonus for 1 year. Doesn't matter. I gotta go back and read the contract, but I think it's 1 year. Now, the next question was the amount spent yearly from January 1, 2014 for education incentive per Article 27 of the Statement of Agreement between the City of Little Rock and FOP, right? Now, this is what was laughable to both Rizal and myself. So in 2014, they spent $296,000. In 15, they spent $285,000. In 16, they spent $288,000. In 17, they spent $284,000. In 18, they spent $290,000, and in 19, so far, they spent $214,000. Now, think about that.
Now, that's for what?
That's for education.
Education.
Think about that for a second, right? Think about that for a second.
What does that mean,
When I get-
education?
So if they go to school, this is education reimbursement.
Oh,
Or
okay.
classes.
Classes, whatever.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But check this out, though. So in 18, they did 290,000. That was the whole year. In October, when did I do this? I did this in September. So in September, they're already at 214,000. All right, for education reimbursement. I ain't saying people shouldn't improve themselves, but that's cool. But this is the thing, though. It only gets better, though. Police got it good, and we ain't even having that conversation yet. The number of officers who receive bachelor's or higher and provide their current position in the department. Now, this is what they said. This ain't me making this up. We have 253 officers receiving education pay. The department does not maintain or can create a list of officers that holds bachelor's or higher degrees. I have attached a form that has the current positions and how much each officer is paid.
So they're paying education money, but they're not keeping track of who graduates?
Yeah, but here's why.
That
I
is
think,
making sense because at some point you gotta know when to cut it off.
but I think this is
If you're
why.
going for 6 years, did you
You can
graduate?
go forever.
Did you fail?
You can go forever.
But police officers typically make more money and have a requirement of certain amount of continued education
Right.
classes that can get them promoted, that makes them qualified to be
Right,
promoted.
right.
And so if you're taking, some of these courses are just certificate courses, which means you can go a week or a few days or
Yeah.
2 weeks and complete a course from the education money and get a completion certificate
Yeah.
without receiving or earning a degree.
So that doesn't mean a
That's
degree
where-
course.
No.
That's why
But they're
they're
still
not
keeping
tracking
track of
degrees, because they're
certificates.
not working to obtain degrees.
Degrees.
They're just getting these continuing education classes to make themselves promotable.
But
Well-
if you're not keeping track of those, and how do you know they're not scamming you
Well,
on the money?
hold on.
And they
But you know
get
what?
paid while they go to the class.
That makes all the
They
sense in
go
the
to
world
the class,
But let me-
they get
because
paid to go to the class,
now
and
I
once
know
they do
why
enough
they are
classes,
so
they get
good at
promoted.
eating donuts. They take a class. I was wondering, I was watching a guy. I was at a donut shop the other day, and that police officer was so technical in dipping that donut in the coffee cup. I was like, wow, I was transfixed. Took a class,
But this
and
is-
we paid
But
for it.
hold on now.
Because as a veteran, they keep track of everything that you do.
Now-
It's government.
but
Again,
check this
these
out.
are just completed certificate classes or no.
Talking to Mike, sir. Talking to Mike,
These
sir.
are no go class. In the military, a lot of times we had some training we had to take, and there weren't grades that were given out. It was either you go,
Or you
which means you
don't.
pass,
Right.
or no go that
Right.
you did not pass.
It was one of those check-off things.
That's what a lot of these courses involve. Is they involve go and no go,
Right.
and they can be a few days. When I was a police officer, some of the classes we had might have been 2 8-hour blocks,
Okay.
and the department had to pay for that. That's what those classes are.
So this is the thing I thought was interesting, right? So when they sent me a list, I mean, just a list. The only thing it has is just has positions. So you got 3 assistant chiefs, 1 assistant chief. Don't know which one because they didn't break it down by name, just by assistant chief. One used 11.54 hours. One used 57.7 hours, and one used 69.24 hours. That's how much education they did this year, right? But this is what's interesting. So if they said it was,
Internally or like at a university?
they don't tell you. They don't tell you. They don't provide it because they don't keep track. They just pay the money out. They don't give a damn.
See, that's an issue right there.
I think it is.
That's an accountability issue.
But again, I mean,
That's tax money.
that's tax money.
But you're just
but the
blowing.
city does this quite often, and they're never held accountable. So when you go through this list, though, the thing
You
is,
got streets of potholes and they can't keep track of the certificate.
they ain't,
Not
well,
that
they
they
ain't trying
can't.
to. They don't want to.
They
don't want to.
because then you're gonna find out. I've had those classes, and in those classes, the majority of those classes were so simple, right, that you could sleep through the class, and they give you a little 10, 20 question test. You could sleep through the class and still pass the test and get a go.
Yeah, but
There's no real benefit to taking 99% of those classes. And so that's why, in part, that they're not tracking stuff, because then we get to see the ridiculousness of what they're spending money on when we talk about education, because it's not really educating.
I think it's just for the sake of the taxpayers knowing where the money's going. I think they should be keeping track of this. Because I mean,
They are tracking it. It's education.
But no,
yeah, but
it gets,
I know, but like
it only
like,
gets
they-
better.
they got roll call for each of these classes. Like who took it? How did they finish it? Did they complete it? Did they graduate? Did they have to retake it? Are they?
Okay, so
many
this
questions.
this is even better. Y'all ready? This is provide documentation that states when an officer. Oh, that's not it. Forward to the. Okay, so I actually asked them for the information that when an officer shoots when an officer is placed on. Well, I just read it because I can't
Administrative
summarize
leave.
it. Yeah, it says provide documentation that states when an officer is involved in a shooting that they are placed on leave with pay. Also provide policy and procedures for officer involved shooting, right? But the thing that really was so I was at the board meeting Tuesday night, man, and something was interesting to me. So the mayor is talking about getting new health insurance, right? So this is what I asked for. I said, I request the cost of health insurance for all city employees and police and fire employees, if not under the same plan, to include dental and vision, single family, right? Now, you know what's interesting about this? Y'all ready for this? They don't pay their own. They don't pay anything for their insurance. The city covers every
Right.
bit of it.
100%.
100%. They don't pay nothing. You start working for the city, you automatically got insurance. Don't come out of your check, you good to go, right? So, it's the thing.
So that reminds me, before you go on for that. So last board meeting, the issue
$15
came up.
million, right?
Right. The issue came up of insurance. So they're talking about cutting the insurance. Is that going to be across the board, or is that going to be simply?
Do you remember what the number was?
Right. I remember the
$15
number.
million.
Right.
Okay, but hold on. I want to
But
take something first.
but is that going to be across? So in other words, are the police now going to have to start paying for part of their insurance now?
No.
So that's only going to be other city employees.
No, ain't nobody paying for their insurance. Did you must have read that wrong.
You're not listening to me. At the last board meeting,
Right.
the issue came up about changing the insurance.
Right.
And remember, Joan Adcock brought up the issue, and the reason she brought up because she's sick now, along with the other one that had the neck brace on her, Kathy Webb. They were concerned that they were going to lose benefits. I'm saying, does that insurance apply to every city employee across the board, or do the union have a separate negotiating interest as it relates to health insurance?
No, it's everybody included.
It's everybody, okay.
Everybody included. This is the thing, though, right? So right now, right, that thing said not to exceed $15 million for insurance. Y'all get that, right? I don't know if it was a year, if it was a month, if it was an hour. I don't know what the hell it was. But it said not to exceed $15 million. I don't know what that means. But this is the thing. So this was the FOI I asked for. You ready? What they do with it? Okay. This is what they said. It says the number below are from the month of October 2019. The monthly amount and number of employees vary, but an approximate average could average yearly cost may be figured with this information. So they're saying that they have 1,913 active employees who have insurance with the city of Little Rock. They pay $913,000 for all of them. $913,000. They have 175 retirees who get insurance, and they pay $60,254 for them. Right. So my math, that's what almost $1 million, right? But he was talking about we're gonna be paying $15 million. What we paying $15 million for?
Good question.
Is that for a lifetime policy? We getting a lifetime policy? At $15 million?
I doubt if it's lifetime. They're trying to cut as much money as they can. So
Well, how can you be trying to cut money when you finna go from we're close. Let's say we had $1 million. We pay $1 million a year in life insurance, and health insurance, right? So how we doing that? How you doing that? And now you saying you're not exceeding $15 million in the new policy. Explain that to me. I don't get that. I'm really confused. I need to go back and do some research on that one. That one got me confused. But I don't think people understand what we giving up for our police and fire. I mean, I ain't really got a beef with fire. I mean, they don't do nothing anyway.
Their job's pretty risky though. I mean,
Who, fire?
yeah.
Man, you know what? Hold on. Firemen, when I FOI'd it,
you don't like fire.
I don't like anyone that you like, Dave. I think it was less than 5% of their calls. Right? Less than 5% of their calls were fired. Like 5% of their calls were fired. 5% of the calls they get every year were fired.
Cat stuck in the tree.
Cat stuck in a tree. When you see somebody have a wreck, they show up. They ain't got nothing else to do. They show up, and I ain't got no beef with them. Okay, that's
You don't
cool.
like firemen.
You gotta have firemen. Firemen are kind of like insurance. It's some S you gotta have, just in case, right? So I ain't tripping on them. But now police, on the other hand, what we give to them, that's just crazy. That's reckless. Because the thing is at some point, if you're gonna continue to hire more police,
It's a tough job.
it's a tougher job just being black in America with the police.
It is.
If you're gonna hire more
But
police,
you don't
have to
understand.
think
Blue
about it.
lives matter.
Dave, I swear to God. Keep on. Dave, see? See what I'm talking about? Yeah, you tickled that. You just
What?
tickled yourself.
What? I'm just saying.
Hey,
I'm just saying. What's wrong with that?
you know all lives matter.
Yeah. All blue lives matter.
If you're referring to the blue man group, then I absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, don't get upset because, I support the police. They need to take some of you blacks off the street. Y'all walking down the street like you own the street and, blocking the street with your loud ghetto music and stuff.
Yeah, all
I
that
mean,
violence and black on black crime.
all that black on black crime and stuff y'all
They just wanna
causing.
keep the streets safe.
You
that's
know,
all.
I expect them to do their job.
Safe streets.
That's right. I mean, come on. Then you drive in your neighborhood. You got couches and chairs all out on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
You don't care about your neighborhood. Your little kids running around barefooted and stuff like that. And with those little nappy hair, little cuckabugs in the hair and stuff.
Gangs running around
You know,
and stuff.
I don't know what y'all problem are.
People like Dave move to the heights. That's exactly what happens.
I don't like black folks.
I'm just saying.
What happens?
You know, I'm just
Stacey Dash is
saying.
never wrong.
Let him in the
Yeah.
heights over there.
Yeah, love me some Stacy.
See, he all black power and
Man.
stuff until he
Go
let
shoot
him
in
move
jail,
over
right?
in the heights, and then all of a sudden he
Love
black
me some
power
Stacy
now.
Dash. I'm thinking
Yo,
about.
Stacey got arrested for beating her husband.
Oh, see, my kind of woman, violent.
Oh, Jesus.
I used to like Stacey. I used to watch the show
Which show?
with the kids and stuff. Back when I was a kid at that time too. Yeah.
It was-
I used to watch the show because she was nice looking. I mean,
Yeah.
they couldn't act, but
She had them green
was
eyes.
nice looking.
Them fake green eyes.
They ain't fake.
Let me just say, there's some
There's a lot of
interest.
white people with green eyes.
Yeah, that's true too.
Man, you got
Saying. A lot of black folks.
By the way, the Emmett Till
She opened her mouth.
the Emmett Till Memorial has been vandalized so many times that they now have it bulletproof, and they
Emmett Till?
yeah, you know they've got an Emmett Till
It gets
Memorial.
replaced like almost every year.
Once every year they have to replace it because white folks are showing up shooting at it, got billets and stuff all at it. It's so.
Are y'all
pathetic.
serious?
Yeah.
So now,
It just made the news again because they
so now they've got a bulletproof one now, so they can't put holes in it. So
probably gonna pull out the gun and burn it.
I'm wondering, since I've been here enjoying that radio now roughly about a year, y'all gonna break me off some of that longevity pay.
you need to. JC is probably he's probably
We
listening.
both need some of that.
You need to ask JC that on your show.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
make it to a year so I can earn my bonus.
I'm 3 years in. I need to get rep. I need to get a back pay on mine.
I wouldn't mind a couple of new uniforms too. Maybe some slacks.
Okay.
coats.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's it. That's
Cause I
it.
used some I need some education money.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Some of
we need
that
some
too.
education
Some of
money,
that
man.
stuff.
Yeah.
I need a certificate in.
I got a class going. I got a class going.
I want to
Yeah.
continue my education in blackery.
Stripper pole 101. Stripper pole
Yeah.
101.
Continue my education in blackery.
Black, that's it. Yeah.
That's about what their little certification courses are. I mean,
That's
that's about the
The
extent of it.
equivalent, and that's
How
what
to
we
claim
paying for.
I feared for my life.
But the thing is, man, how do you not keep track of what you
just told you,
I
man.
mean, yeah, but
I just
but I mean,
told you. It's
in
not
good
about degrees.
conscience.
It's about no go. That's what it is.
So-
man. They don't want us to know that it's go, no go.
Well, so what I'm gonna do, man? I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say, hey, can you send me the criteria by which you have to go
Or
through
just
this
get a
track?
schedule of the classes and go and see who's there.
Well, because I don't think that's it though.
No,
That's
no.
telling you.
Ask him what they. I'm sure they would have some type of syllabus or something of classes that are available.
Dude, they ain't keeping track of the money. You think they got a syllabus?
So if I just show up at the
they gotta have
chief's
something.
office and
They
say,
gotta have
yo,
something on paper.
yo, chief, you know what? I always been wanting to make, take that class to build model airplanes,
Hey, the Ku Klux Klan give it a class.
Can I take that
Can I
class?
take the class?
There's gotta be,
Nah, see,
there's gotta be some
what it is,
list.
First of all, it has to be an accredited.
That's what I'm saying. There's gotta be some
Who
list.
identifies accredited?
And then,
Who?
And then secondly, it has to be something pertaining to your career field. And so they offer, Criminal Justice Institute and Pulaski Tech offer classes that are not degree programs, but are just simply completion programs. And they're geared toward law enforcement. And so these classes, that's one of the reasons that they're not out there keeping track of every detail in regards to the education benefits, is because these classes, when they complete them, if they ever stop being a cop, what are you going to use them for?
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody cares.
But again, there should be a list, so I'd be curious to see what that list is.
Or some
Thank you.
Google CJI and see what courses
You
they
know,
offer.
I would. By the way, we got a caller. Let's go to the phones. Caller, you're on Black Focus Radio. What's your name and what you want to talk about? Hello.
I hear him.
What's up, T?
Robert,
You just heard 20 seconds. Well, all right, hang up and call us back when you want to listen to more. Hang up and call us back there. Man, we talking about police. I know how you love police.
Robert, would you like to introduce your
Hey, this my boy Tom.
your guest?
This my boy Tom.
You know,
Tom, say what's up, T.
You know, typically when you're gonna have a guest, you should alert the host so I'll know he's calling. But that's okay. It's your
Nah, I want you
your
to be
show.
surprised.
Cold
I want you to be
thing,
surprised.
Robert. What is he talking about?
It's your
man?
show, man. Go
I don't
right
know why
ahead.
you keep putting up with that,
Yeah.
man.
All these work calls.
Good. You need to handle that on your own.
Oh, you didn't hear, I don't think you heard that. Tom, what'd you say? Cops are what?
Pigs, what? Pigs?
Cops are great?
Our neighbors trying to do a good job at a very hard job.
Huh, Tom, this is gonna be interesting for the next 30 minutes. So Tom, so you think cops, all cops do a great job? You think they all do a great job?
Well, any blanket statement is inherently wrong. You can't say all anything are. Most cops, the vast majority of cops, are great. They're just normal people. I consider the vast majority of people in general to be great. Pretty optimistic. Most people are good people. Cops are the same way.
Tom, you're such a sweetheart. That's why he's my friend. You see that? Cops are great. I love them. So Tom, so you don't? I believe all cops are bad. Because if you're a good cop and you know bad cops on the force doing bad things, you don't report them. You're just as bad as they are. Do you not agree with that, Tom?
I do not agree with that. I agree partly with it, but you're a 25-year-old guy who's got a job. You're a cop. You see corruption, you're going to give up that job. You try and be a justice warrior and go back to not having a job, feeling better about yourself. And if you probably keep those years, odds are nothing will come of your attempted heroics and whistleblowing.
So what you're saying is that we shouldn't fight corruption. We should just let it happen, Tom.
No, you should wait until you're in a position of power.
That ain't gonna work.
He's definitely.
That's
Look, I'm kind of speechless right now. Wow.
We had an inspector coming in.
Okay.
He said, retype these, change the date, make up the date. And when I went to the captain, I got an Article 15. Not that easy to just say, I see something wrong about it. I'm going to report it. I'm going to do it. Well, you know, reality steps in.
I understand what he's
Are you
saying.
saying that a first-term congressman should be blowing whistles and screaming loudly that he sees corruption above him for 30-year senators,
yes.
and then can't get on any committee, loses his power, has millions of dollars to lose them in the election? I guess
There we go.
But Tom, how long does it take you to get that power? 20 years, 30 years?
By the time you wait, it's
It's
too
all
late.
yeah, it's
And
too
I
late.
understand what he's
People's lives
saying,
are
but
at
I
stake, man.
absolutely disagree with it. I'd rather face the consequences of doing
Yeah.
the right thing
Do it
than
now.
stick around and hope that I get in a position of authority one day. I mean,
If doing the right thing was easy, nobody would do it.
but I do want to read you something from the criminal
He said,
justice
have you ever done that
system when you
before?
get a chance. Yes.
Have you ever done that?
Absolutely. When I was a police officer, I reported bad police officers without question and without hesitation. And
You need to
did
put
not
on the
lose my
headphones.
Put your
job.
headphones on. You got to
And I did not lose my job.
I did the same thing in the military. I had reported people above me who were doing things wrong, and you know, it's the card that you're dealt, man. You see something wrong, it's to a certain point. You know, you're gonna make a decision. You know, if it's bad enough to where it's giving you, making you have to have a moral dilemma, then you gotta do something about it. You can't let it just continue to play.
Yeah, and
But wait a minute. What if he's fudging that paperwork that causes someone to get more time in jail?
Right, right.
I'm getting time in jail, period.
No, because
There's no such thing, my
Here's
friend.
the issue with that. Once a bad police officer begins to get away with small things, they're going to bump it up and they're going to think they can get away with everything. And so there's no degree. Wrong is wrong. And if you don't call them out in the first instance, it's simply going to escalate. It's going to become worse. And eventually it's going to impact somebody's life, whether they end up getting killed by a bad cop or in prison for life by a bad cop, by simply lying in a report. So those things have to be addressed, and we have to face the consequences as good people.
I look at it as a crime.
I'm going to go take some photos of it, and I'm going to send them over to the chief and tell the chief that that officer needs to be disciplined for whatever their policy dictates because he's sleeping on the job. Because I guarantee if a bad guy walks up on him while he's sleeping and pops a round off in him, that bad guy gonna go to jail when all that police officer had to do was stay woke. Well, I answered that question because once you make the complaint to the chief of police, they have to follow whatever's in the personnel policy manual. And so, if termination, if sleeping is grounds for termination according to the personnel policy, then yeah, he ought to be fired because he agreed that if he slept, he was going to be fired. But they ought to do whatever the handbook says that they need to do.
And not only that, and not only that, if he's abdicating his responsibility, if he's on the job, and that could mean that someone else, a citizen, is either being killed, harassed, whatever the case may be, but he over there catching these, that's not his job. Yeah, he ought to be fired. Look, at the end of the day, police have to be held to a higher standard than anyone else. That's what the law is all about. You took on that responsibility of being held to that higher standard. You can't come back later on and say, oh, well, this standard is too high for me. I'm like everybody else. No, that dog don't hunt, dog. It just doesn't.
They're held to a lower standard than other career fields in similar situations. And so if you're going to give these guys all these privileges and all this money and all these benefits and things, and at the expense of people who are killed who are unarmed or innocent or completely just mind their own business, then yeah, by all means, any little thing that we can, do to address the inequalities and the injustices that they are participating in, then I'm all for it. Whether it's whistleblower from the inside or the outside, and like I said, if doing the right thing and being a whistleblower was easy, then everyone would do it. It's not something that happens every day. It's not something that happens in every city, but it is necessary. And without those people, we wouldn't be at the point where we are now.
Can I read y'all something right quick
Okay.
in regards to education and police? The Criminal Justice Institute, CJI, in Little Rock. CJI provides education and advanced training in progressive areas of law enforcement, including forensic science, law enforcement management and leadership, computer applications, illicit drug investigations, and so on and so forth. These programs are offered in several locations across the state for Arkansas law enforcement professionals. Due to the rural nature of Arkansas and the associated unique challenges, CJI courses are designed to enhance accessibility for officers. Now, I want to read you the details of just one course. The Schools and Suicide Prevention and Postvention course. It's 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. and the training hours total of 6. Degree class, no. In-state, free. Out-of-state, not available. Those are the kinds of classes or courses that are being offered to police. And if you notice, that particular course is free if you're a cop in state. And so now I'm wondering how many cops are trying to find classes where Little Rock has to pay instead of finding these free courses that are offered at the Criminal Justice Institute. And again, just like I stated earlier, these are not degree courses that they're blowing money on. These are 6-hour classes or 12-hour classes. That's a go and a no-go. That's why they're not tracking the money because the money is being wasted.
Y'all done?
And there's a whole list of
Should
those
know Brazil.
6-hour courses in CJI.
Tom still there? Tom still there? Well, we were talking about so often police have been paid all the money. We never look at the contracts that the police get. And so we were just talking about the police contract in Little Rock that these guys are getting. The city of Little Rock in the last 5 years spent $2.3 million in longevity bonuses for police officers. They also give them money for education. That averages about $300,000 a year. They pay for their uniforms, which averages about $165,000 a year, and insurance and all that other stuff, right? And the city pays for their insurance completely. The base salary is $40,000.
Here's another where if you're a member,
yeah.
if your agency is a member of CJI,
I think it's $42,000. It starts out at $42,000. Yeah, and they pay for all that. You get that, right?
education is supposed
No, in Little Rock you get 42 grand a year plus all this other stuff. That's way decent for a job that you don't have to have a high school. All you have to have is a high school diploma. And plus we're paying all this other stuff. You know, you just start to add the layers in, right? It's like, you know, every year you're probably spending an additional 12. I'm gonna say probably an additional. Just off the top of my head, I'm gonna say you spend an additional $6-7 million a year and all this other stuff.
Plus a take-home car.
Plus take-home car and gas. Not even including that. We're just talking about the services that they're asking for, the additional benefit they're asking for. You spend another $6 million on just those additional benefits. So that's why I think it's important that, you know, we start having a real conversation about police and how we address police when they shoot unarmed folks, black or white, but mostly black. When they shoot unarmed folks, we should hold them accountable. They should be sued personally for shooting unarmed black folks. What do you think, Tom? Well, yeah, but the city pays for those. Yeah, yeah, but the city pays for it. Yeah, the city pays civil suits. Yeah, the city pays the civil
we
suits.
pay the insurance to the municipal league and the insurance premium.
Right. So,
Okay.
so we're paying for that. We're paying for these shootings. We're paying for this abuse. Well, you got to do that though, Tom. You got to do that.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
Wait a minute. What do you
gotta
What
do
do you
that.
mean you got to do
Yeah,
that?
take care of the women, man. You got to take care of the women.
But that ought to come out of the congressman's pockets. Exactly. Right.
This is what blows my mind, y'all. So y'all now want senators to pay. So I'm gonna FOI what all we pay for that senators don't pay for, because that list is even longer than the police list. I mean, really?
I don't care. If you out there harassing a woman and you get busted, taxpayers should not be paying for you to get your jollies off. Period. End of story.
Yeah, Tom just said that.
I agree with Tom. I don't agree with you.
Yeah, we agree with Tom.
Y'all
Yeah.
agree with Tom? Y'all don't agree with me?
No, they should not.
No, they shouldn't.
Definitely.
I said they should, but okay. You know what? Hey, you guys. Hey, if y'all want to pay, if y'all want to be weak like that, go ahead. Then.
Senators make more than definitely to pay these people for harassment.
I don't understand y'all.
Plus, you account for all the money that they get from all these PACs and, you know, foundations and donors and
There you go.
corporations and.
Tom, are you for the impeachment? Are you for the impeachment process? You feeling pretty good about it? How so? What do you call? So, do you believe he should be impeached, Tom? Honestly, do you believe he should be impeached? Honestly, do you believe he should be impeached? But wait, Tom, wait. Tom, wait.
I can't continue this.
Okay, Tom.
I can't even. I'm done.
Tom, wait. No, I didn't think he should be. Yeah, I didn't think he should be impeached. That was a white ring conspiracy. So you're saying this is a left wing conspiracy that he hadn't colluded with any other country, and you don't believe he colluded at all? Did you read the Mueller report? You read okay. Tom, you read the Mueller report. Tom, if you read the report, you can see that's some collusion, Tom. I didn't read her report. You got a report you can send me? No, seriously, I didn't read the report. If she's got a report, send it to me. But honestly, I saw the Mueller report. I didn't see the one that they did on Hillary.
And by the way,
I didn't see Comey's report.
The Trump Justice Department just this week concluded that Hillary did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
That's the Trump Department of Justice. I'm going, hey, you're clearly a Trump supporter. According to the Department of Justice, the Trump Department of Justice, Hillary did nothing wrong.
No. Tom likes to say he's not a Trump supporter, he's a Republican. He's not a Trump supporter.
Well, therein lies the problem.
Said what? Oh, that's right. I said it wrong. Oh, come on, now you're taking shots?
They're
really?
both a big mess.
Okay, that's fair. All right, that's fair. I'll give you that one time. I just want to give you a hard time. She never paid him.
That's your opinion. Where's the proof?
Yeah, she paid him to pee in the baker.
Hey. Well, let me ask you. Well, let me ask you. Since you bring up the Steele dossier, you complain about what Hillary did, but was there truth in the Steele dossier? Yes.
And the two guys that just got
Yes.
at the airport? Does that make up two?
Huh?
The Ukrainians that got arrested at the airport?
No. I simply know that Trump is a piece of crap, and anything you try to say to justify this person, whether you're conservative or liberal, something's wrong with you. He's a 15. Yes, I do. Quite a bit. Let's talk about the 21 women that accused him of sexual assault. Okay, let's talk about his racist tendencies over the decades. Let's talk about him trying to get 5 young men killed because they didn't commit a crime. Okay, do I need to keep going? Okay, do I need to keep going? Because yeah, he's a piece of crap. Let's talk about the constant lying. Whereas I think that last check, since he's gotten into office, he's what was it? 12,493 lies, and lies that are obviously provable. Yeah, he's a piece of crap, bro. Sorry. What? Let me ask you. Was the Obama inauguration bigger than Trump's? Was the Obama inauguration bigger than Trump's?
Truth or lies and lies or truth?
Yeah, you know. so let me ask you: is Donald Trump a Christian? Is Donald Trump a Christian? Huh? Is it? Yeah, okay.
You said ask Dobson.
Right. So my point being is,
His own daughter on national TV.
but that's my point.
He got on the View one day and said,
Of course he is, you know. And let me be honest with you. I'm an independent. I'm not a conservative, Democrat, Republican. My fact of the matter is that I expect our leaders to be held to a higher standard. And Donald Trump is not one of those leaders. You can pretend, you can say it, whatever you want. But based on what we've seen of this character, that's exactly what he is. He's a clown. He has manipulated and been able to schmooze many in the American public, and it's clear that he's nothing more than a charlatan. Now, whether you're conservative or Democrat, or a liberal, it shouldn't matter. You should want the best for your country. And if you're telling me that Donald Trump is the best this country had to offer, then, brother, you do have some problems. And if you think Ted Cruz is any better than Donald Trump, see, the problem is with people like you, man.
Why are you attacking
Trump? The problem with guys like you. No, if I said white people, clearly, if you listen to this show, I don't mind identifying white people. Okay? But I'm simply saying this, is that you guys want to throw rocks and hide your hands when it's convenient for you. Just like you're sitting here trying to say, we're trying to cherry pick information, you do the same thing. Okay? But the fact of the matter is that you don't believe in facts. You believe in things that fit your agendas. That's what this really boils down to. If we all dropped our agendas and dealt with facts, then we'd be a lot better country. The problem when you start talking about I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal, that ain't nothing but a label. That's how they've used those things to divide us. Okay? So look, that dog ain't gonna hunt with me. It might hunt with Robert, it might hunt with Rozelle, it might hunt with Cliff. But at the end of the day, if you believe Donald Trump is a worthy leader of this country, of this democracy, you're not paying attention, my friend. I'm just sorry. Yes, you can. I just did. Well, let me just tell you, his grandfather was a racist. His father was a racist. Okay, he grew up in a home that was racist. Okay, he attacks black females. He didn't want black people counting his money. He did not want black people living in his apartments. Do I need to go on?
Right.
So what you just said to me.
Let him finish. Let him finish, Doug.
So what you just said to me
Hold on.
is that he had a racist attitude, thinking that, oh, if I let black people move into my apartment, well, you know what racism is really based on in this country? It's economics. Don't blow smoke up my butt and tell me it's a campfire. It was an economic attitude. No, that economic, or what we call redlining, which is racism by any other name, is exactly what that was. Okay? Now go run that mess by someone who is not educated, as someone who's not up on what's going on. Donald Trump is a racist. He always has been. He's passed. Now all of a sudden, now that it's beginning to come out, people want to defend him. He is indefensible. So you can keep that mantra about what he did or didn't do. By the way, since you pointed out that particular fact, why didn't you address the fact of him not wanting black people counting his money in his casinos? Why don't you address the fact that he refuses to pay his vendors? Why don't you address the fact that he attacked black women and used racial connotations in those attacks? Why don't you address the fact that he attacked black countries? Hello?
Give him a minute, Dave. Let him. Go ahead. I don't. Okay. I don't know. Give me a little bit of information on Dave the Booty. Okay. Okay.
If you condone racism, then yes, you're racist. Sorry, bro. You can't have it both ways. What Donald Trump, if he was a man of morals and character, if he was a man of morals and character, then what he should have said to the mob guy was, look, I respect all men and women, regardless of race, creed, or color.
So Tom, let me say this. Tom. So what if I went to the casino and said, listen, I don't want no white people around me at all. Don't even want nobody white bringing my drink. Would I be wrong for that? Yeah.
Tom, do you know the definition of racism? And no, it doesn't change. No, it doesn't change. There's only one definition of racism.
Hey, Tom, by the way, do you think black people can be racist?
That's the point I'm making. Is that no?
Hold on. Give him a second, please. Continue, Tom. So you think?
Are you done?
Yeah.
So when was the last time white folks got hosed because of the color of their skin? When was the last time any ethnic group hosed white people, as you say, because of the color of their skin? I rest my case. We're done.
Tom, call back by the Tom. Enjoyed it, man. Hey, why you hang up on Tom, man?
I ain't gonna entertain that mess, man. Who was that anyway?
Look at my boy Tom, man. Why ain't you my boy Tom?
I'm sorry.
Why you
Come
hang
on.
up on-
Tom got to
Tom's got to go. I'm sorry.
Tom crazy.
No.
Man, why y'all been mean to Tom, man?
Because I ain't gonna put up.
racist.
Look, I ain't gonna put up. Black people can be racist. Really, really, Robert. You told him you're suspended. And you're suspended, and you owe the show $15,000. Now you try that mess on this show again if you want to. You just do it, and I'm sending my boys to
On
you.
the show, we like to offer differing opinions. Because, Dave, you're not always right. I'm not. Well, I am always right. But
All I can say is Tom needs a couple courses in sociology.
Lord have mercy.
we're gonna get Tom to call back in Monday. Man. We're gonna finish this up Monday. That's what we're gonna do.
Tell them to call Friday.
No, I'm gonna tell him to call Monday.
Friday.
We're gonna tell him to call Monday. That was pretty good, man. I mean, hey, it's good to have a different opinion on Trump because you just be bashing Trump. We all bash Trump though.
I bash him on regular.
Yeah, we bash him on the regular, so it's kind of
Can't
nice to
stand
get
that
you know.
racist.
You can't bash unless you deserve to be bashed.
Right,
Okay.
right,
You
right.
got problems, man. You got
Yeah,
serious
I'm just
problems.
saying.
But that was a good conversation, though. It gives you a different perspective, right?
No, it's the same.
It gives you a different perspective.
It's the same perspective I hear all the
The
time
thing is that-
from his ilk.
If that's the case, then why don't you have conversation, try to understand where he's coming
I
from?
don't need to understand him. I understand him
Where he's
clearly.
coming from.
Clearly,
I don't know what to say to y'all right now.
nothing.
Hashtag white supremacy.
Oh, y'all stop. Tom's a good dude, man. Tom's a good
Yeah, okay.
You can be good and be racist.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks,
There's a lot of school
Tom.
teachers that are racist.
Thanks,
To their
Tom.
families are great people. They help
Okay.
kids, and
All
but
right.
they still believe that black folks should be shot.
Okay.
All right, who go? Oh, Cliff, you up first, Cliff.
Yeah, go ahead, Cliff.
Where the mind goes, the body follows. Also, check out the Liberation Experience podcast on Spotify and Anchor.
Hey, y'all. Really enjoyed it. Want to give a shout out to Jolly, K-Wood Jolly for yesterday. Great show, bro. Really enjoyed you. Now I want to give a shout out to my boy Tom. Hey, Tom, good job, man. I hit you back up on Facebook, man. Way to knock it down, baby. Call back Monday, Tom. Get Dave some more, man, because he ain't ready. He ain't ready.
Tom and Robert, aka Diamond and Silk.
Y'all wrong, man.
Burnt coal and spider spit.
Y'all dirty, man. That's dirty. That's dirty. That's cold. That's cold. That's cold. Now, y'all really tickled now, huh? Y'all really tickled. It's about to be some furniture moving up in the studio.
I'm
It's
just
about to
saying.
be some furniture moving
Shots
up in here,
fired!
man.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Hey,
All
man.
right, can I get my quote now?
Hey, spend money on your community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Lynching is an act of terror used to uphold white supremacy.
Sometimes it works.
Try again.
Oh my god.
Good show.
Everybody love that,
You've been
man.
listening to Black
I knew that was gonna be good.
Our issues with our solutions.
So did you bait me? Is that what you did, Robert?
Join us
Gee, thanks.
every weekday after
I couldn't tell.
1 p.m. on joinusradio.com.